Hello and welcome to another episode of Interview with Schizophrenia. I'm your host, Duncan Samrasinger, and today I have the great pleasure of having John with me. John is only 21 and he lives in Nova Scotia in Canada, and he has a diagnosis of psychosis NRS, which I believe stands for not otherwise specified, I
Correct.
think. So welcome, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good as well, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a few days off holidays, so just been chilling out.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. Um, okay, so let's just dive in with it. Um, John, what I want you to do is give me a history of your mental health journey, how it began, what were your first symptoms, what happened for you to get to see a doctor and to be put on medication. What was the events leading up to that? Please tell me about that.
Yeah, man. So basically, what was happening is I was studying at the University of Toronto for
Yeah.
jazz studies. I was in my third year. I did a couple years at another university, but I switched for my third year, and it was going really good, man.
Mhm.
I was really enjoying it. I was meeting lots of cool people, and I just started to slip,
Yeah.
and I remember starting to smoke weed every day, and I think that was my downfall. Um, I know I had a little bit of I was a little bit of a hypochondriac before in my life, but
Yeah.
I never really had symptoms of schizophrenia. I never had depression. I never had hallucinations or delusions. I was always pretty neurotypical.
Mm.
So it started, I think, in December, and I remember coming home, or actually right before coming home to Nova Scotia for Christmas break. I remember thinking Apple was listening to me.
Okay.
I remember looking at my phone one day and feeling a click in my eyes, and that was kind of the um, indication that there was magnets being put in my eyes for the first time, and these magnets were uh, to control me um, from Apple's point of view. Um,
How did that make you feel?
and dude, it's crazy because I look back and it never really I never really thought that it was anything out of the ordinary, because I
Yeah.
was kind of questioning Apple before this, and I had Apple on my mind, and I was thinking that they were very in power, and for some reason it just didn't even cross my mind that it was like a symptom.
Mm.
So and that was the problem with my psychosis. So I started getting a little bit paranoid, and I started going to the Art Gallery of Ontario a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at these paintings and just hearing like up to symphonies in my head. And
Okay.
it was like such a euphoric, blissful experience. And I loved it, man. It was, and I would smoke weed always before it just to get me like a little bit more creative. And I would take audio recordings and and I would write tunes based off what I've seen in these paintings. They would give me like a holistic perspective on how to write a composition. So that was like a positive point in my
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, to me, that's kind of like a musical inspiration, you know?
definitely. Definitely. But
Uh,
I know at that period, it may not have been a normal thing to experience, because I was also experiencing some paranoia, and I thought that Apple was listening to me, and I thought that Netflix was modern day news. So, yeah, man. Um, so I kept on telling my friends, like, yo, like, I think the second coming of Christ is about to happen.
yeah.
And they would look at me and they were like, all right, man, like, how do you get this perspective? And I was like, Well, if you look at Netflix shows such as Messiah and you can tell they're based around universal love. And I was just spitting all this like crazy theories.
I mean, people do believe that, though. That the second coming of Christ is coming.
I know, man.
You're right, though, because why would they make that program?
Yeah,
You know, they made that program because they were tapping into something. Do you know what I mean?
exactly. But for my mind, it was not healthy material because I started. Okay, so I even just to take a note on that. I even told my girlfriend at the time that I thought that the second coming of Christ was happening, and she was put on this earth to save me from the coming of Christ, because I believe that if you had a partner at the time, then you would get through the second coming of Christ without being judged. And she believed me. She was like, "Yeah, you're right." um, she was like, "My mom thinks that," and I was like, "Yeah, it's crazy." So no one really, no one, no one got me help,
Yeah.
and I really wish they did, because my psychosis started getting very dark. I started isolating. I started pushing my friends away. I started pushing my family away. My girlfriend broke up with me because I was being crazy and because I was forcing her to get apps like Sync Tuition, because I believe that aliens were um, running this app in order to control us for the alien war. Like, things were getting out of hand, and so I all of a sudden um, believed that I was being recruited by the Illuminati.
Okay.
Um, and I believe that kids my age, like young adults my age, were also getting recruited by the Illuminati to kill rapists and murderers, because I got this idea from the show The End of the Fucking World, and the show
Oh yeah.
You, and the show Messiah. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched them. I haven't watched any of them. I think I saw the first part of the Messiah, but the guy is
Yeah.
so good looking, right? It's such a cliche. Well, I thought I can't
Yeah.
be bothered with this. Come on. I mean, they could be a bit more. I don't want all the cliches. Give me something real world.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what,
yeah.
that's what I wanted.
For
But
my for my mind, I was consuming anything, and I wasn't taking like an analytical look at it. I was taking more of like a realistic look. So
mm,
it was a little different for me. But anyways, I got in an altercation, and I barged into um, my neighbor's apartment, and I tried to stab them.
oh really?
I tried, yeah, because I believed that my family was going to die of coronavirus if I didn't do
Okay.
this. And I believed that I was going to never achieve my dreams as a musician if I didn't do this. And it was actually when I was in the middle of it, it felt like my body was being possessed. And it was really intense, man. And I feel so bad for the guy that I did that to. And he's all right. Thank God. But
What happened there? Did you actually cause him harm?
I did, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he pinned me on the ground after I got him a couple times, and he actually in the scuffle he cut my finger, and I have a cut tendon, and I have a big scar on my finger, but that's about it.
Okay.
And so I got pinned on the ground, and then there was hollering, so people called the police, and they took me to jail.
Okay.
And yeah, man, jail was like pretty crazy because I started hallucinating like even more. Like, I was in my cell, like saying like "mommy, mommy, mommy," because I was repenting for my mother's sins, and I was looking at the dirt specks on the ground, and those
I
dirt.
mean, this is classic. When I say classic, I mean this is psychosis. When you talk like this, it's like from the beginning, it's getting worse and more intense. yeah, psychosis, man. This is what it.
This is
This is
it.
psychosis, untreated psychosis.
Exactly.
What you're talking about here.
And like I was smoking like multiple times a day, and that
That
weed
doesn't help, I mean,
helped.
it's psychoactive. That's the thing. THC is psychoactive, so it. I think it doesn't. It doesn't. If you're going through psychosis, it's probably just going to make it worse. I reckon.
Yeah, that's what the doctors say. They say it was either a drug-induced psychosis or schizophrenia, like amplified by weed, or it was just like delusional disorder. I don't think it was delusional disorder, but yeah, I don't. They don't really know what it was, but
So when you were in jail,
yeah,
did they get in touch with the doctors?
yeah. About a week went by, and they got me into a psych ward, and well, actually, before that, I went to prison,
Yeah,
not just jail. And there, I was like very out of it. I was licking floors. I was like beyond repair. You
yeah,
know, if it was induced by the weed, then it was too far gone. And yeah, so I eventually got to a psych ward, and I didn't believe them. They were like, "Have you ever heard of mental illness?" I was like, "Oh yeah, there's schizophrenia, there's bipolar, there's delusional disorder, there's depression, DID, like."
yeah,
And I just had no insight, and I was listening to this alien in my head, because when I would actually ask this alien in my head that was once the Illuminati, that was once my girlfriend, and I would ask them questions, and my head would respond with like a nod, or a nod downwards, or a nod to the side, and
yeah.
I wouldn't move it. It was just like it was a physical response to my question, and I wouldn't even have anything to do with it. So, anyways, they put me on in Vega Sistena,
Yeah.
and then they sent me back to prison for like another month, and that was hard. That was a hard experience.
So was that proper prison or psychiatric or it
No,
was proper
it
proper
was
prison?
proper prison.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It was in a mental health unit.
Yeah.
So I was there with people that also had mental health struggles, and I met some very bizarre people. Um, and one I met one friend that was really kind to me, and I forget his name because I was so out of it at the time. But yeah, I'll never forget him. He was there
Huh.
for stealing a poppy box.
Okay.
But he was an addict, so that's why he was there. But he also had this problem with his digestive system, so he was in the mental health unit. Um, but yeah, so then after a month, I got out, and
So did they release you or was it like a transfer to community care or something like that?
no, they released me to my mother as she was a
Wow.
surety, and yeah, so I've been here at my mother's house for a year,
Okay.
and Um, things have recently got better, but man, things have been tough. Let me tell you, like I got a lot on my plate when it comes to the legal stuff. I feel bad for what I did, but also know that it wasn't me that did it. I was always like a caring, empathetic, like no harm type person, so I know that it was just totally out of my character. But this drug that I'm on, damn, dude, it kind of took away everything that I love. And I kind of wanted to make like a little segment of this interview about the drug.
I mean, so the drug, I've heard of it before. Is it an antipsychotic or is it a mood stabilizer? I'm not sure.
It's both an both an antipsychotic and a mood stabilizer.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
Uh,
because I mean, these medications are very powerful.
Super.
Yeah, they're very powerful, and they have side effects.
Yeah.
So yeah, so please, tell me about your experiences on this medication.
Sure. So the first one that is really hard to deal with is the depression.
Yeah,
And at first, I thought it was post psychosis depression, which I did have, which I couldn't even leave my bed. It was so bad for months. But that finally got better. And then I started having this other depression that was just lingering. That's really hard. And it actually finally got cured by taking St. John's wort,
okay.
um, which I know you're not really supposed to use, but it's helping me. So I'm
It's
trying.
kind of just like a herb, isn't it?
It's
Really?
it's just a supplement, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second one is the complete emotional numbing,
Yeah.
um, which is like
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you
I know you say that, but it's quite serious, isn't it?
I'm sure you're very aware of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super serious. It's like
Yeah.
anhedonia, right? It like I can put on my favorite record by my favorite artist, and not feel an absolute thing, like nothing. And it makes me feel just like, oh, what's the point, right? Like, I don't, it made me a while ago very suicidal. Not anymore, but yeah. And then the other thing is the sexual side effects. I couldn't have sex if I wanted to, um, which is tough. But also the least of my problems, because then there's the cognitive issues,
Yeah.
uh, where my coordination is completely off. Like I used to be able to play piano and do two rhythms at one time,
Yeah.
and it's completely off. And my fine motor skills, I used to play very fast on the guitar because that's what I went to university for. But now I can't play fast on the guitar and I'm like sloppy. And also, my internal metronome is completely turned off. It used to be a clicking in my head, and I used to be able to hear music too in my head even before my psychosis started. And now I can't. I have poverty of thought. So those are the main ones.
But you know something? It sounds to me as if you're naturally gifted with music,
Yep.
and the psychosis, the medication, you're probably thinking, well, it's fucked up now, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, but what I would say, you just got to give it time,
That,
because you probably find that it can inspire you to maybe do something special, So I would just give it time. But yeah, I just want you to carry on with what you're saying anyway.
well, the thing is, man, like I told my doctor all this, and I told them for months, like I can't live this way. I can't live this way. Like I think it's the medication. I think it's the medication. And they said, okay, well, fine, we're gonna switch you to Abilify.
Yeah,
And I've talked to over like 50 people that have been on Abilify, and over 20 people that have made the switch from Invega to Abilify, and they all say, "Oh my God, it's miles better. It's you're gonna be able to maybe not get to complete baseline, but it's gonna be much better than Invega." And already my depression is cured. I'm 5 months off of Invega Trinza,
yeah,
and I'm on Abilify 200 milligrams, which is a fairly low dose. So
yeah.
yeah, man, good things to come. It's just it's been a year of
So,
suffering.
so how is your kind of your musical ability now with Abilify? Can you play the piano? Do you get the metronome in your head? How is that all now?
Well, the thing is, man, it takes around a year to a year and a half for Invega Trinza to get out of the system,
Okay.
and it's only been 5 months. So maybe a couple years down the road, if you're still doing the interview, I can come back and I can say, "Oh my God, my skills are back," right? But right now, it's still kind of in the dark. And what I have, oh, so good.
yes, just it's just what I'm saying. It's like it's like I mean, the thing is, you just got to give it time. It's
Yeah,
basically what you're doing, isn't it? It's basically what you're doing.
that's what I'm doing.
So yeah, so
And I'm trying to enjoy, like, the small things in life, watching an episode of Netflix, The Office. I'm watching right now. Um,
I mean, what has happened? I mean, are you going to go back to university? What are you going to do?
hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm not going to let this stop me.
Yeah,
And, if I'm going to be one of those cases, I feel that if I get symptoms, then I'm going to have to learn how to live with them and be on somewhat of a low dose so that the medication doesn't.
you can definitely do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's an option, right? So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was like 24, 25 when I first got ill, but I kind of carried on working for like 10 years before I took a break, you
okay.
know. Especially when you're in your 20s, I think you can still do it, you know. I think you can still go out there and do what you want to do. And I mean I had crazy experiences, but I think you can kind of cope, you know. You can
Definitely.
you can kind of just you can cope with it and still you can still get by and while you're doing that you're building up your experience in whatever you're doing, you know, you're building up your life skills. You know, I just think yeah, I know people just stop working, but I just think it's such value and just keep giving it, especially when you're young. It's such value and just keep going. You know, I think
Yeah, I'm taking a break right now, and I because I
taking a break now, isn't it? Because of COVID, right?
everyone's taking a break. It's the best
Yeah,
time for this to happen to me,
yeah.
to be honest. But once I get some well, honestly, once this akathisia, or I don't even know if it's akathisia or if it's hypertension, because whenever I stand up, I get this extreme restlessness that I have to pace. But when I'm sitting down, it's
yeah.
like my blood pressure is fine and I don't get restless. But it's impossible to work a job where I have to stand up because of this. And they said that once the Invega is out of my system, this will go. But so once that goes, I'm getting back to work. I'm going to be like a pizza delivery guy or something, even if I can't play music at the time. And once I get some motivation back, because I hear people on Abilify get a lot of motivation compared to Invega, I'm gonna start. Well, I've already done it, but I've started writing compositions on FL Studios.
Okay. What's
And
that?
it's a music producing program, and basically you can have like a MIDI piano,
Yeah.
and you can alter the rhythms, you can alter the chord progressions, you can alter the melodies. So I'm trying to write like classical style pieces, and then eventually I want to write them out all in music notation, give them to a band and play.
Yeah.
Um, and I've also been writing raps. Uh, they're all right. Uh,
I mean, you know, that's what you want to do. I mean, to be honest with you, there's a lot more to this world than just you know, what we hear and see usually. You know, it's like Psychosis gives us a little bit of a, you know, it's like a crack. It's like a crack. Whereas, say somebody's like a clairvoyant, they have like a gift and they can see. They use like a telescope. With
yeah,
Psychosis, it's like a crack in the world, and we kind of see through it, and it kind of affects us. You know, it's kind of like a damage, but
yeah,
we still get affected by the other side of the world. You know, the that sort of that the mysterious side, right?
yeah,
Um,
man.
so that's kind of interesting because, and I think it can also give you inspiration. Definitely in music, it's creative, right? So it can give you inspiration, you know. So
Yeah. Sometimes I wish that this is probably a very um, not unpopular wish, but sometimes I wish that I was in like a third world country and like someone saw me as a shaman and not just like a person with psychosis, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so other cultures used to take psychosis differently. They would see it as a gift, and they would see it as communicating with spirit. But
Yep.
in the Western world, so in Canada, America, UK, Europe, we're a lot more material and we're a lot more rigid in our thinking.
Yep.
So we don't kind of accept that side of life. Um,
We have a lot of media that is really dangerous for a person with psychosis as well.
yeah,
And the way we're raised is a bit dangerous for a person with psychosis, where people in third world countries that are more connected to the earth, more connected to family, I don't think they would have the problem of saying, oh, Netflix is third world, um, or not third world, sorry, modern day news. But they
yeah,
do have religion, and I can see how religion would be a bit of a dangerous uh, place for someone with psychosis in a third world country. But also, you see people chained up to trees, that are mentally ill.
yeah. I suppose so. I suppose so.
So it's
I
not
mean,
like everyone's a shaman over there.
yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, you've got to do with what you've got. So
Yeah.
you've got your life in Nova Scotia. You've got your family and your friends there. So you got to make most of what you got, and then I mean, but it's interesting the way different cultures do treat psychosis for sure. I mean, because it's kind of nobody really understands it. Um, there's nobody's got close to curing it, right? It's like the
Oh,
medication they found by chance that it dampens down the symptoms,
yeah.
but it's not a cure, right? So
No.
it's just kind of like, well, yeah, it regulates the dopamine flow in the brain, which they think is responsible for psychotic activity. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all they know, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really excited to see where medication goes because they have new medications that aren't even targeting dopamine. Um, and they're targeting different areas in the brain that don't have like as much side effects. And even like do you see the nose spray that they came out with?
I haven't.
It's not out yet, but it's this university that put it out and trialed it, and it's just gonna wait to get to the market. But it's a nose spray antipsychotic. So instead of ingesting it by pill and having it go through all the metabolic side effects, it just goes straight to the brain. So there's no weight gain. There's
Oh,
no
really?
there's no metabolic side effects. Yeah, man.
That's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link, man. I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, cool. Okay, John. Well, I think we kind of got to the end of the show. I
Yep.
think. Um, what I want to ask you is there anything else you want to talk about? You got a couple of minutes. You can. Is there?
Uh, hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's not.
Uh, Man, I just want to stress like how hard some people got it. You know,
Yeah.
like I got it hard because Invega is a tough drug to be on, but I know people that are on a much higher dose of Invega than me, and plus other medications. And medication does have the uh, side effect sometimes that can kind of zombify you and take away your quality of life. And I just want to note how hard that is. And for any of the people that are struggling like that, I'm sorry. um, and hopefully someday we get better medications and for severe schizophrenia. um,
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And you know, there's such a bad press about schizophrenia and these conditions. Is that and nobody? It's just I just want to get it out there that people do, like you say, people do suffer with just the medication, let alone the
Yeah,
symptoms. You know,
let alone
so
symptoms. And I don't really even know what that's like because I had more mania type symptoms, but I can't imagine being paranoid and on medication. I just can't imagine. And people go through that, right?
yeah,
So it's they say it's cancer of the mind, and it's definitely up there with chemo treatment. It's it can be hard. So
it's definitely hard.
you know,
But there is that side to it, that mystical side to it. Um, it's a different life experience that you have with
yeah,
psychosis.
yeah,
You know, so we gotta look on the bright side, and you can still have a normal. When I say normal life, you can still achieve what you want to achieve.
yeah.
Um, it's just slightly different. That's all.
Yeah, man. One thing I'm really excited for is if I do have schizophrenia, which they say, oh, Kyle, I don't think you do have a lifelong illness, but if I do, then I'm excited to have a balance and experience my illness, head on and with the help of medication and see that side of life because right I haven't experienced that side of life for a year, and when I was experiencing it, like I didn't know I was experiencing it. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say.
Okay, John. So what I want to ask you is, tell me your preferred genre of music.
Well, I've been listening to lots of Debussy and Ravel and Stravinsky and all that, but you know what, man, put on some jazz.
Okay, fine. I'll put some jazz. And I just want to say thank you for talking with me
Yeah,
and just sharing your story. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
yeah, no problem.
And I'm glad because it's really helpful for other people out there who are going through similar things, and they can listen to it, and it's just like it's really helpful. So I just wanted to say thank you, John.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, man, that is all.